Welcome back to our latest episode of Japan's top business interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President, Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training. My special guest today is Duncan Harrison, who is the Managing Director for JAC International. Duncan, welcome.
All right, thank you.
JAC International, some people may not know the company. Just a quick brief on what you do and how it's involved here in Japan.
Sure, yeah. So JAC International is a subsidiary of JAC Recruitment. JAC Recruitment is one of the largest recruitment companies in Japan. JAC International was founded around 15 years ago as the kind of international wing of JAC Recruitment. Essentially, yeah, all of our clients are international companies. The consultants that we hire are bilingual. And yeah, the vast majority of the positions we recruit on are kind of mid to senior level positions for international companies. So I'm the head of that company.
Very good. So if we think about, you've been in Japan how long now?
Off and on. First time was January 2005. There was about 8 or 9 years away in the middle. So if you add it all up, probably 11 years.
So what brought you to Japan in the first place?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I was a fresh-eyed 21-year-old, just finished university in the UK, was drifting a little bit after university, didn't know quite what to do.
What did you study at uni?
Politics.
Politics,
yeah. So
okay.
yeah, somewhat relevant. Yeah. So yeah, studied politics at university, didn't want to go down the foreign service route or anything like that. So the initial interest in Japan had been from the fact that my father had traveled to Japan quite regularly on business as during his working life, and he'd always bring back some goodies from Japan, like a Game Boy or some electronics, some kind of wonderful souvenir from Japan. I was like, okay, maybe that sparked an initial interest in the culture and the country itself. And then graduated in 2004, and was basically wondering what do I do. Was having a few kind of contractual jobs, nothing too career focused. Saw an advert for to become an English teacher in Japan, and I thought,
was this a JET program?
It was something similar. It was a company called GEOS, like a language school, and they had a recruitment center in London. Okay. So I went for 2 days of interviews. Okay, give that a try. Sent my CV. This was in November 2004. So okay, give that a go. Went for 2 days of interviews in London, and the next day they sent me an email saying, yeah, we'd like to offer you the job. Can you move to Hiroshima next month?
Oh, okay, right.
So I was like, okay, all right. Didn't have, I think that would be a much more difficult decision now, with commitments. But yeah, back then as a 21-year-old, free and single, I was like, why not? So,
no mortgage, no cats, no dogs.
Yeah, nothing like that. So one suitcase, off I went to Hiroshima. It was a small town outside of Hiroshima.
Wasn't even Hiroshima?
Wasn't even Hiroshima. So yeah, a place called Saijo.
Saijo,
if any listeners know Saijo.
Okay.
Higashi Hiroshima. So it's about 40 minutes outside of Hiroshima. And I was a teacher.
Well, I'm impressed that they had an amazing major need for English classes in Saijo.
Right, yeah. So it was a university town. So yeah, Hiroshima University was located near in the town of Saijo, and there was myself and about 3 other foreigners there. So it was very different to landing in Tokyo. Yeah, it was a small rural town outside of Hiroshima.
So you must have had to work on your Japanese
at that time,
survive there.
Yeah, just to survive. Yeah. So at that time, it was a move that 20 years later, in hindsight, was quite brave. 21-year-old, you don't have a care in the world, just go for it. But yeah, it was. I didn't speak any Japanese at that point. Was quite an experience, but yeah, had to study in that first few months just to be able to go to the dry cleaners or there was no Google Translate at that time or anything, any of the kind of conveniences that we have today. So yeah, Google Maps would have been nice 20 years ago as well. So that was my introduction to Japan.
And how long did you stay as an English teacher?
So it's about 1.5 years. And so really loved Japan. Made some really good friends. Enjoyed the experience of teaching, but was clear to me that this was not the career for me. I would like to continue to stay in Japan or be associated with Japan, but not specifically teaching English. So at that point, packed my bags. I did a 1-month sayonara tour of Japan. Met someone during that time that became my wife many years later, and that was the reason I came back to Japan. So went back to the UK, a few months back in the UK. And then, I'm going to move back to Japan. What can I do that's not teaching English. And
what was that?
That thing was recruitment.
Oh, recruitment. Okay. This is in Tokyo?
So I came back to Tokyo actively looking for a job. And April 2007, interviewed with several recruitment companies. My Japanese at that time was not at a level where I could do business in. What are my options? I like sales. I like meeting people. I like communicating with lots of different people at the same time. Recruitment could be a good sector for me to get into. Interviewed with several different companies, and back in 2007, joined Robert Walters then as an associate.
How big was Robert Walters in those days?
It was still, it was already at that point, it was the biggest company. Don't quote me on this, but around 200 at that point.
Something like 300 plus or something.
Yeah, it's big now. Yeah, it's big.
Maybe it's bigger than that. I don't know.
Yeah, at that time it was still fairly sizable. We had one floor of the office that they still have in Shibuya, and obviously that dropped after the Lehman shock. But at that time it was still fairly sizable. So my background there was finance and accounting.
Oh, okay.
Recruitment.
Okay. So a natural play from politics to finance and accounting.
Yeah, it was
extension right immediately.
Yeah, it was a steep learning curve at the start. So didn't have a background in accounting, economics, but that point was you have to kind of quickly learn yourself, and the more finance managers, the more finance controllers that you meet, the more comfortable you get, with what's required to recruit in that space.
And how long are you with Rob Walters?
So a total of almost 14 years. So so basically 7 years in Tokyo, kind of joined as an associate consultant, worked my way up to the point when 2014, I was the associate director of the finance, and that was the biggest team. So managing a couple of different teams covering finance and accounting positions. So I'd raised my hand for international opportunities. My child at that point was 5 or 6 years old, and we were quite flexible, in terms of location. The position that was available at that point was to be the country manager of the Seoul office in Korea. So at this point there was a bit more commitment than I had.
Were you opening the office?
So we had an office it was open in 2010, and in 2014 I moved there.
So it was established then?
It was established, but was not big. We had like maybe 7 or 8 consultants at that point, and by which point the Tokyo office was still 200 plus. So the remit was to grow it. And
how long are you in Seoul?
So I sold for 6 years. Just over 6 years.
You did 6. So back to then this job?
So Robert Walters' career. So we grew it from around 6-7 people. By the time I left during COVID, 2020 was about 60 people. So went through 60. 60.
60. Wow. Okay.
It was quite
amazing,
fast-paced growth. Lots of challenges, but a very, very interesting position. The market was quite different to Japan. The brand wasn't known, so it was a very different experience to working in an established Tokyo office. So that was there for 6 years. By that point, it was 14 years with the company. Thought maybe time to try something new, and I had a 2-year stint in China before then coming back.
With Robert Walters?
That was not with Robert Walters. So I left Robert Walters. I joined a UK-based startup company called Hamlyn Willams.
What do they do?
It's basically it's a 200-person globally, focused on financial services and tech recruitment. So I was located
very boutique, niche.
Boutique, so it was to manage the whole of APAC, but based in Shenzhen. So
Shenzhen,
so managing Shenzhen and Hong Kong, China and Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. So, and then back to here.
Then I've got a few tales to tell. That was during COVID. So spent the COVID years in China. It was actually fine in 2020, 2021, but it was getting a little bit hairy in 2022. Had a Japanese wife and son, so we made a decision. It's probably best to come back.
And then you came back to this job?
Then came back to JC. So luckily there was
as the president or as a what level did you?
So I joined as the managing director.
As the managing director, okay. Not president, managing director. Okay, right. So you've had good experiences leading teams in Robert Walters in Japan, leading teams in Korea, and maybe leading teams in China too, I suppose.
Yeah.
But if you think about your experience in Japan, what did you find when you were inside Robert Walters the first time, and now also in JAC here in National as a managing director? What did you find worked well to engage people to follow you as the leader?
Just always having very clear, ultra clear kind of guidelines, expectations. Yeah, I think people really in this, whenever I've worked with Japanese people, clarity and yeah, kind of being aware of what the goal and expectation is, it's important everywhere, but specifically in Japan, you're going to get better performance if, your Japanese staff knows exactly where you're heading, exactly where the goal is. So, I think in Japan, more so than other countries, lots and lots of team building exercises.
So those team building exercises, what's involved?
Yeah,
Are we doing outdoor rope courses, or are we doing, I don't know, what's a team building exercise look like in your industry?
It could range. So, of course, we do the Hanami party, we do our Christmas party, we do our barbecue parties, but maybe something a bit more kind of formal. So every month, no matter if it's been a good result, poor result, we get everybody together on a Friday evening, we book a large meeting room and we go through everybody's successes, the company's successes, individual performances every month. Yeah. So usually. So
if I don't have any successes, I'm a passive listener participating. But if I'm doing well, I'm going to
you'll come up to the front. You'll talk about why what led to that strong performance. What others can learn from that. If it's financial success, if it's the number of new contracts that you've signed, something that you've done specifically very well, we'll invite you to the front of 60, 70 people in the room and just talk through. What led to that success, what you did specifically. So celebrating every win like that is very, very important. That doesn't necessarily work in every country that I've worked in, but that kind of team bonding, team exercises, celebrating success. Where didn't it work? I think in Korea it's a little bit different. So I would say it's
no partying in Korea.
Well, there's partying for sure, but a different kind of partying in Korea. I would say less focus on the team. It's a little bit more on the individual.
Is it?
Yeah, and China, collaborative, but it's top down, but the leader basically decides the direction of the company completely. So in Japan, you're always looking for consensus building, collaborative. China, it's the leaders.
The Xi Jinping model.
I don't want to compare to that.
Lifetime leader.
Yeah, but there is that expectation in China that the head, you are the authority, you make the decisions. People look up to you because you make the decisions. There's much less of the kind of consensus team building approach. It's more, all right, I'm going to make the decisions. I need to be authoritative here. And that's obviously not going to fly
in Japan anyway. Yeah. And what other things, apart from team building, did you find worked well to get people engaged to follow you?
I think the relationship is very important. So, even if we grow to a sizable company.
How many people now?
So we got 60 plus in JAC.
So how do you have a relationship with 60 people?
Yeah, of course you're not speaking to them every day, but I think just little thing. Whenever we have a new joiner, on their first day we'll go for a lunch. If anybody follows me on LinkedIn, you'll see I often get commented. I post lots of pictures about lunches. I do other jobs beside have lunches, but
professional lunch.
Everybody on their first day we'll have a kind of lunch together. Just so they can get to know me, I can get to know them, and they know that what I do and so on. So that's quite important. Even if we get to 200-300 people in the future, I'll make sure that we keep that kind of practice up of having lunch with everybody on their first day. After they've been 3 months, I do a one-on-one with everybody for coffee.
With 60 people.
So of course, we'll have.
But you're talking about the new joiners.
The new joiners. So
the lunch on the day one, or early joining. 3 months later, a catch up, basically.
And that goes have a coffee catch up. So
because I guess that's their probation. Period too. It sort of aligns with probation.
We have a little bit longer than that.
You do?
Okay. So, but on the 3 month mark, I'll have a coffee and it's just what's going well, what's not, what you're enjoying, what can we do better, areas where you'd like more training. So that's one-on-one with everybody. So again, they're kind of maintaining that contact with me, and we're reiterating that it's a flat organization. You can come to me, I'm approachable, and so on. So I find that. They do, it depends. Like of the 60 people, I think we have 23, 24 plus nationalities. So it's quite diverse.
Wow,
half are
diverse.
Japanese, but it's quite a mixed,
group.
quite diverse group. So of course, some people from certain backgrounds are more comfortable doing that than others. But I do what I can to make sure that I'm approachable.
So what else is working to get people engaged?
I think with something specifically for Japan, like kind of speaking up and offering ideas. That's not always something that people are entirely comfortable with. So we kind of give it's a little bit, we have an ideas box. So it's planted in a room, and you don't need to put your name, but stuff that you'd like to change, or ideas that you have to improve the office, you don't necessarily have to put your name. You can do, and we'll celebrate the best ideas with a reward. But if you're not comfortable to do that, you can just keep your name blank. And we've got a lot of kind of policies and ideas that have come.
So people are actually quite active in putting their ideas forward.
They are,
Because I was going to ask you about, how do you get ideas from the team? And apart from the ideas box, do you have any other mechanisms to get ideas from
again, a lot of it comes just to for the meeting. So if that 3-month mark, the coffee, there'll be a lot of stuff that comes up in that I wouldn't necessarily think of myself. I think a lot of it comes, which again I'm comfortable to do in Japan, just kind of making it clear that I don't know everything. We're relying on you for ideas. There's lots of stuff that you're going to think of that I don't necessarily think of. So please come and speak up. That kind of reiterating that that's important. Whereas again, like perhaps in China, you're expected to know.
You tell them what's going to happen.
You tell them what's going to happen. So.
And I guess if you've got half sort of Japanese, non-Japanese, am I right in guessing that probably the ideas box and the people putting their ideas up to you are mainly coming from the non-Japanese, or the Japanese are also
both, no, I haven't found a difference between that. Yeah,
so the Japanese themselves are also
the Japanese that we hire, so they will need to speak a level of English. They've usually, not always, but most of the time, the Japanese that have spent time in Europe or America studying or working.
So they're a little bit internationalized.
Yeah, if they don't speak English and they're internationalized for want of a better word, then they probably would not be working at JC International.
Well, not in the international section, and maybe in the recruitment section.
In the bigger JC recruitment side. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And any other things you've found? Do you have any particular, say for example, with your leadership team, do you have any particular things with them around brainstorming, or do you have any methodologies that you use?
we do like a once every 6 months offsite. So usually we go to the Tokyo American Club, we'll hire a room, it'll be a lot of brainstorming, we'll think of a certain topic that's important at the time. So the leadership team consists of 2 associate directors, I think 7 or 8 managers. So we'll get everybody offsite, including the office manager as well. We'll book a room in the Tokyo American Club is where we've been. And then, we'll brainstorm, a particular topic. At that time, how can we improve engagement? How can we improve customer feedback? How can we do this, that? And doing that once every 6 months. And we'll have a management meeting once every 2 weeks, just a regular, more business-focused meeting. But a brainstorm and idea session every 6 months.
So, everywhere you go in the world, trust is important.
Yeah.
Every culture is important. I don't quite know how I've come to this conclusion, but I always feel that in Japan, trust is even more important here. I mean, I know it's important everywhere, but somehow I always feel Japan, the trust element is even more important here. So what has been your experience that's worked for you to build trust with teams?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but I think that face-to-face meeting is probably more important than anything else. Just that,
so you have a first week, 3 months.
Yeah.
And then when?
So me specifically, I'm still fairly hands-on. So I'll do that. And then I'm leading a lot of the training sessions as well. So for anybody relatively new to recruitment or new to the industry, from their kind of second or third month onwards, there's a weekly session with me where we'll do training and kind of, I wouldn't say I open myself up, but in that meeting, in that training, I'm talking about some of the challenges I had, 20 years ago or 15 years ago when I'm in their positions, like how I was able to overcome that. I think people relate to that quite well. Not necessarily respect, but they can see that, I've been in their shoes. I know exactly kind of the situations that they're going through, the challenges, and I'd be quite openly talking about that. And, this was how I was able to overcome that. This is how I was able to be successful in this position, rather than, you just need to do this better. You need to do this better. People.
I love the classic direction I heard from one of your competitors. I won't say the guy's name, but he was complaining about his people's sales efforts, and his conclusion was that they should just do what he did.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm listening to this thinking, really?
I can see where he's coming from.
This is your conclusion to what you did?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a big gap I felt in his understanding of actually how to develop people. But do you have like an actual formal or formalized training program?
Yeah. So it depends on if the person's got experience or not. So yeah, if it's somebody relatively new to the company, we've got like a 2-month, every day there's going to be a different session training program.
And who delivers that?
So it's a combination of myself, the managers, HR. We have quite a large HR team as well that have all been former recruiters themselves. So they're able to deliver that training from experience rather than just a theoretical basis. So we like the managers to get involved with that though. So so new person comes in, it's 2 months of training. There's assignments like ensuring that they tag along to 10 candidate meetings, 10 client meetings with people from various different teams. So they're getting, quite a wide perspective on, what works, what doesn't work for them. Yeah.
So just coming back to the idea of trust, any of the things you've found that work well to build trust with people?
Yeah. So again, much more so in Japan than other countries, but just that. Is it the Nemawashi? So the consensus building. Again, I don't want to keep referring back to China, but China, I'm going to make the decision as the boss. You're going to follow. That's how we're going to run the company. That doesn't work in Japan. People don't like the spontaneous decisions, or I decide something without kind of consulting or talking about people through. So if we're thinking of changing something, I will, speak with the associate directors first, then we'll engage the managers, potentially get the consultants or support teams involved. We'll talk it through. They can see why we're trying to make this specific change or this decision. We'll build that consensus and then we'll implement it. Whereas if I just implement it straight away, it's not going to go down well. So I think that builds trust and people can see my intention for this or the company's intention for this is this. Let's engage as many people as possible before making that decision. So I find that trust.
One thing is often that the vision, mission, values are set down, and behind me I see a nicely framed mission statement on the wall, and obviously the company should run according to what that says. However, in a lot of cases, people can't remember what's on that mission statement or vision statement because it's too long. And so there's a bit of a disconnect between, the sort of top level thinking that, okay, we've set down the mission for the firm, everyone gets it. But actually, if you ask people anywhere probably, what's the mission statement for this company? They're like, they're struggling, So how do you make sure that those sorts of things where what you say is important is actually being shown to be important?
Right. Yeah. So I think we try and tie that in with the wins that we have as a company. So, and I think kind of modern day communication channels are quite helpful for this. So Teams is very useful in Japan, I find, for various different reasons. But for example, whenever we make a successful placement, we're going to share this with we have a deal celebration channel, and the manager of that person will highlight how this placement happened, what this person did well, and we're trying to tie that in with the mission statements, what they kind of practiced. So just to try and reinforce, the missions of the company, the values of the company, this is how this person kind of achieved this successfully, to have the success that they had. So kind of positive reinforcement through various different communication channels.
If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Leading is easy. Getting people to follow is the hard part. That is a great quote from Yogi Berra. Surprisingly, despite the complexities of leading here in Japan, everyone has to work it out by themselves. Foreign leaders want practical, applicable, expert advice. This is now available for the first time in history. Grab your copy of Japan Leadership Mastery on Amazon today and avoid the mystery, trial and error, especially the errors. What about things like risk-taking, for example? Often innovation is a messy process.
Yeah.
And we encourage innovation. We'll say we encourage innovation anyway. But sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes there are failures. So how do you handle instances where people have failed? Or in general speaking, how do you also handle mistakes or poor performance? How are they looked at?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things there. So I think, but sometimes a challenge, with working as a Japanese company, we need to innovate, we need to change, we need to modernize, and, we need to encourage a culture that embraces that. So yeah, we're trying to create an environment where people are, again, like I mentioned earlier, comfortable to speak up, provide ideas, specifically with regards to innovation. If we have a project that hasn't worked well, if we've tried it and it's not been successful, I think the most important thing is it's a safe environment. We've encouraged that. If it hasn't kind of gone as successfully as we'd like, that person is not kind of reprimanded, or they're not in serious trouble with the company. But it's a safe environment. I think creating an environment where it's safe to make mistakes is a key part of leadership, and especially in Japan. With regards to poor performance, I think it always varies, and I think it's of course it's a success-based industry. We of course we drive the best performance that we can, but I think if somebody's not performing well, then my job as the leader is I have a responsibility. I've signed off on that person to join the company, trying to understand the reasons why. Really digging deep. Where are they missing? Where do they need more training? Not to act too rashly or hastily to kind of write that person off, but really digging deep to understand the reasons that they're not performing well.
Because your industry, I'm not talking about your company, but
Sure.
your industry in general has a reputation as a bit of a meat grinder. Pour a lot of people in the top of the funnel and then just chew them up. If they can't make it, just chew them up and they're out.
Sure.
So it's a tough sort of succeed or you're out culture, it seems, for most of the
I think
companies.
in some ways that might be a slightly unfair. But that is the image that a lot of people have of the industry. But working here and working at Robert Waters and working at the previous companies that I've had, I feel that is a slightly unfair kind of reputation that the industry has. It's success based. It's an industry where we have a lot of young people. There's a lot of pressure associated with that. But certainly JC, and I found Robert Waters too. There's a lot of time spent really making sure that we're hiring the right kind of fit for the person. When I joined Robert Waters, for example, I think I had 16 different interviews.
16 interviews?
Yeah, 4 different days. I think I totaled up 16 different people. So, which is a good thing. I think it's 4 separate sessions, very organized. What they're doing is making sure that they're doing everything that they can to ensure that they're not making a mistake with this 23-year-old that has no sales experience at that time. So, they need to hire quite a few of those people to grow. So they're doing everything that they can to ensure that. We don't have quite as many at JC International, but we invest a lot of time to ensure that. And there's people at a company that have taken 5, 6, 7 months to start having success. And as long as we can see that they're doing the right things, they're trying the best, they're listening, we're confident that the success is going to come in the future. Then we'll give that person as much time as they need. So I think any sales job is. Recruitment is a sales job. Recruitment as an industry is no different to if you're selling airplanes or selling cars or selling TVs. If you're not successful in selling that, then obviously you're not going to be a salesperson for years and years without selling anything. So I think our industry is no different. No.
Well, also, I guess the pressure is there to perform, and people respond to that pressure in different ways, I guess. And thinking about how you interview people, when you were interviewed, there were probably a lot of candidates to employ.
Yeah.
Today, population decline. big shortage of bilingual people available to employ.
Yeah.
So that changes the dynamic completely. I mean, no one would be doing 16 interviews anymore because they'd be lucky to get candidates at all. And it's on our end too, and as a client of the recruiting company, the number of candidates they show you has gone right down. Because I've been recruiting people since 1992 for sales jobs, right? So I have a long long history of recruiting over 30 years. And I can see in the last probably 15, the just sheer number of resumes you see just really tapering off and hardly seeing any.
Right.
So you start to become to that point where, just check if they've got a pulse. You'll do, because we can't get anybody. And we're all forced to make, unfortunate compromises with people because we just can't get the people. So you must be facing the same issue.
Yeah, but I think any industry, it's, I don't know the exact stats, but I think the working population in 1995 was something close to like 90 million, and it's dropped by almost 20 million now in 2025. I think of the current working population, close to 30% is over the age of 55. So yeah, it's real. What you've mentioned, that there is a it's a shrinking workforce, and every company kind of faces that challenge of how do we hire, how do we grow the business with a shrinking workforce. I think
how do we?
How do we? Yeah, so we've grown JAC International. We've grown from 20 people to 60 people in the 3 years that I have. We're hoping to get one thing is, of course, we're gonna target people. We hire both new grads, but predominantly we hire mid experienced recruiters. So yeah, we grow as a company.
So you're basically recruiting other recruiting companies.
It's both. Yeah. So we have I obviously came from a different recruitment company. Most of our leadership did, but when we're trying to hire associate consultants or researchers, we're hiring from the international universities or Japanese that have studied overseas looking to come back. But yeah, the management, senior consultant level is predominantly from our competitors. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about culture, because JAC is international.
Yeah,
JAC is a national company, right? So you got that international culture of the company. We're in Japan. And then you've got your own preferred culture as the leader that you want to see inside the company. So how do you go about building a culture in a company?
Yeah, okay. So luckily for me, so just a very quick introduction of the group company. So it was founded in London, actually. So despite being a Japanese company, initially it was founded, this is our 50th Golden Jubilee anniversary. So it was founded in 1975, essentially in London, helping Japanese expats in London to work for Japanese banks. So it's got that kind of international foundation. It was created in London. Offices before Japan opened was Singapore and Malaysia. So Japan was kind of the fourth office to open, and now it's the head office and the biggest operation. But yeah, the owner speaks very fluent English, lived in the UK as much time.
So the owners are Japanese?
It's traded on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, but yeah, the owners still founded the company 50 years ago, but still coming to the office every day and very involved in the business. So Japanese, but speak fluent English, and being very keen for the company to grow internationally. You can see, in all of our rooms have British towns and cities. There's a British element to it, which is helpful for me as a British person. But yeah, I mean, for me personally,
does it have an English culture feel to it?
I think within JC, I mean, there's a appreciation of in our industry, a lot of the big recruitment companies are British, and I think our founder has spent a long time in the UK. I'm British, so I think within JC International, 20 plus nationalities. It's I wouldn't say a British culture, I wouldn't say a Japanese culture. It is a real mixture of different nationalities, and that's what we try and promote and thrive upon, is that diversity of cultures.
But I'm talking about in terms of leadership, you have preferences as an individual human being. You happen to be the leader, and so you determine the flavour of how things are done, how decisions are taken, from a particular cultural preference that you have about how you think it should be done. So how do you get that to work so that other people follow that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not. I mean, there's a respect of the country that we're in, and the fact that I have quite a lot of Japanese managers. So I'm not gonna. And I've spent a long time living in the country now, so I know what makes people tick. I know what works well. But at the same time, I'm not Japanese myself, and this organization was created to be separate from JC Recruitment, which is more focused on Japanese client recruitment. So we do all communications in English, all the culture is much more kind of international than Japanese, and it's going to be the culture that me as the leader ultimately is going to be shaped the company as I see best, but with the caveat that in any changes that we make to the culture, to the environment, I will seek consensus on that. So it's a combination of what I like to drive and change, plus what I see as kind of appropriate amongst the team that we have.
And thinking about, you've been here a long time, really good experiences. If someone called you up and said, "Hey, Duncan, being sent to Japan to run my organization's teams there as leader, but I don't know Japan, I don't speak Japanese, you've been there forever." What advice would you give someone who is being sent to Japan, who don't know Japan, don't speak Japanese, to be the expat leader here?
Sure, yeah.
To be a successful and effective expat leader?
All right, good question. So I think specifically, again, quite relevant to our company, you need to be kind of realistic about what the job market is here, about what the labor market is here. As we've just discussed, it's a massively shrinking population in terms of the working age. The English level is not necessarily improving. I've been here, I think there was, anyway, it's not improving that much. So I think probably the biggest thing when we meet somebody that's fresh off the boat, they've just arrived in Japan and, we're going to change everything, we're going to hire all these people, we're going to completely change the culture, is, okay, that's going to be challenging because of the dynamics of the labor market here. So that's a key thing, and something when we're working with people about to move to Japan or already moved here, is trying to set their expectations kind of clear with that. I think, so again, my experiences in China and Korea, those, I would say there's more innovation happening in those countries. There's more kind of change ongoing. There's more kind of a attitude.
They're more hungry, aren't they?
Yeah, hungrier.
I know we have these APAC conventions for Dale Carnegie, and I always come back from these conventions thinking, wow, these people are all so hungry. Yeah. Koreans, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Indonesians.
They want to disrupt
Indians,
things.
They're hungry. Yeah. They're all hungry.
Yeah.
And you come back to Japan, everyone's like they had a big lunch. Right. Just cruise into the afternoon very smoothly.
Yeah, that's just not the environment here.
You just don't feel that same hunger. But anyway, please.
Yeah, so I'd say be aware of that. Yeah, that's important to know. I think there is a resistance to change still. Yeah, it's we still, fax machines are still commonly used. There's things which you'd be surprised about if you're new to Japan, that you think it's going to be super high tech, everything's modern. But that's if you've lived there a while, you'll realize that that's not the reality. I think maybe something that I have struggled with, and a lot of people new to Japan it's one of the key things that they always tell us, is often there's a problem and I'm always the last person to hear about this problem. That it's a real issue sometimes where people, the communication channels are not there. Problems are kind of kept to themselves. They're not escalated, and you only hear about it as the leader when it's already blowing up.
And it's too late to do anything.
It's too late to do anything.
Yeah,
I didn't experience that too much I didn't see that too much in China, Korea, but here, it is often, I'm hearing about it last. It hasn't been escalated to me earlier. So trying to create that environment where that doesn't happen. People are gonna, be comfortable speaking up. They're not gonna be worried about losing face if there's a problem. That creating that kind of environment is very, very important if you're new to Japan. Not easy, but it's gonna be important to you.
And people observe what happens too, if there's an issue and the person is dealt with extremely harshly, then people have a tendency to want to hide the problem if they can completely, so they draw no heat. As opposed to fessing up early, because you and I as leaders, we have the power, the time and the money to fix that problem. Hopefully. Which they don't. Well, hopefully. But if we don't have the time, the power and the money part doesn't come into play and it's blown up. We can't do anything. We can't save anybody. You know? So we need to hear early, but you're right. We're usually the last to know.
Yeah. So that's, if you're new to Japan, like, that's, be aware of that. Yeah. You need to really create that channel where you're going to hear that information sooner rather than later.
What else? Other advice would you give them?
Yeah. Again, that consensus building way of making decisions is real in Japan. Yeah, if you're going to come here and you're used to, you know, taking more of an authoritative kind of approach to making decisions, that doesn't fly in Japan. Yeah, if you're going to come in, you want to change this, going to change that, this needs to change. That approach tends not to be, in my experience, so successful. Yeah, you know, people resist that. It's too much too soon. So yeah, building that consensus, building that kind of a community where you're going to be involved in decision making is important.
And often I think if you're sitting outside of Japan and then you're sent here, you come from headquarters, you come from an established methodology or formal systems, and you get to Japan and it's different. And you can look at it and go, well, there's something wrong here.
Right, yeah.
Because it doesn't conform with how we do things in head office.
Yeah.
Or how we do things usually in America, you know. And your conclusion is I have to fix that with no knowledge of why it's like that, no basis, in fact, of how it's evolved like that or what are the drivers of that. And often the drivers of that are clients.
Right, yeah.
And you don't know that because you don't know the clients. You don't know the client's needs. So you're sort of operating in a vacuum.
Sure.
And that can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, it can be. And you know, sometimes I have to pull myself back a little bit with that. Before I joined this company, I'd only worked for, you know, Robert Waters and British companies. So, you know, there was a tendency for me, like, you know, why do we do it this way? Why do we do it this way? But the company had already been around for 47 years, doing things quite successfully. So, yeah, take a step back. This is why it is, and this is why it works. So trying not to, like you said, identify a problem and then change it in your way, but try and understand why this is happening in the first place, why this is set up like this.
What else would you give them in terms of advice?
Yeah, I think learn, if you have time, it's helpful to learn some of the language, and you know, I think people do appreciate that. I mean, it's not very unlikely you're going to become fluent within a year or two. It's a difficult language to master. I'm still a long way to go, but just being able to have some basic communication.
Do you study Japanese?
I do. Yeah, I do. So I have a Japanese wife and a child that's learning Japanese and English. So yeah, I'm surrounded by it. But if you don't have that, then yeah, I do. If you have, try and just block off an hour or two. Do your Duolingo on the way to and from the office. Yeah, just to be able to converse, you know, a little bit will go a long way with your staff. If you have time. I know it's challenging in a new country. There's many things to you know, to learn. If you're new here, you're going to need to get, you know, house sorted, potentially school started, a new culture to learn. But yeah, if you can just find that 1 hour or 1 or 2 hours a week just to learn the basics, it does go a long way.
And I guess, you know, when you're in Hiroshima and in Seijo, there probably wasn't a lot of English floating around out there. So you sort of, you know, forced through immersion basically to absorb. And I suppose in some ways, if you're the boss and it's an English designated environment like yours, most international companies are like that, and there's English speakers around you, it can be a bit of a crutch, and it can be, I guess, in a way, a disincentive to do anything, because you can say, well, I can speak to these people in English, but I need to learn Japanese, you know, and everything's in English, so I can read everything, so all good. So
yeah, 100%.
Why do I need it, you know?
My Japanese was probably the best it had been after that 1 year of living in a remote part of Hiroshima. So yeah, you had to. Yeah, there was no choice. Yeah, and this is again, like I said, before Google Translate, before you could scan a menu and, you know, convert it into English. Like 2005, that didn't exist. So yeah, if I wanted to get my clothes dry cleaned, I had to learn, you know, how to communicate with that dry cleaner. So yeah, I think in Tokyo especially, and it will become even more international now as more and more non-Japanese do move here, but yes, you can get away with not speaking Japanese for sure in Tokyo. But if you can invest that time, the majority of your staff are going to be Japanese. Yeah, you'll enjoy the experience more as much as anything. My
cousin was here at the Australian Embassy, and she married a Brit, and he spoke very good Japanese. And she thought she'd only be here for a few years.
Right, yeah.
So she never bothered.
Yeah.
3 years post, I'll be back to Australia. Never learned. She was here for like 10 plus
yeah,
years.
It can happen to a lot of people.
And then never learned Japanese in the whole time. It's like your husband was there to sort of take care of a lot of things for her. But what a shame,
I think that's a lot of people, right? You don't plan, I certainly didn't plan that I'd be here 20 years later after I arrived. If I knew that, then I
would have worked a bit harder, right?
I would have worked a bit harder on that. So but I think, very few people come with the plan of, right, I'm going to be here for 20 years and I'm going to study Japanese intensely because I'm going to be here for 20 years.
Well, I only came for 2.
Right, yeah.
And it's turned into 40.
Right, yeah.
So you've got to be careful with this country. Very careful with this country.
It's an easy country to kind of, fall in love with and stay with for a long time. Yeah.
So what's your definition of leadership?
Yeah, I think if I could define it, it would be to inspire, guide, and empower your team to a common goal, a common purpose, and ultimately the success of the organization.
Nicely done.
If I could define it in a... all right. Thank you very much.
Duncan, thank you very much. Well, please join us again for our next episode of Japan's top business interviews.